And I know looking forward to today's event, and I believe that as you open your heart and receive what God has for us, I believe it will be of great benefit to you personally, to your family, to the community, and to the world. Because I believe God has deposited something on the inside of everybody that needs to be nurtured and find expression. So we have a guest minister today for our entrepreneurship seminar. She is Tammy Campson. She's the founder and the CEO of GT Scholars. GT Scholars is a not-for-profit social enterprise, and it's a registered charity as well. And it aims to improve social mobility from young people from low-income homes. Tammy has a master's in civil engineering from the University of Nottingham. She started her career as an engineer and worked for a short time in investment banking before deciding to pursue a PGCE in mathematics education at the University of Cambridge. She has taught in state and independent schools for a decade before moving into the world of project management and entrepreneurship. Tammy is a serial entrepreneur, and she's passionate about helping startups to overcome the common pitfalls in their first years of business and helping seasoned entrepreneurs achieve their goals for their business. She often speaks and writes about diversity, social entrepreneurship, creativity and innovation, social mobility, women equality, impactful leadership, and resilience for entrepreneurs. Tammy is a fellow for the School of Social Entrepreneurs and an alumni of the Young Academy Accelerator for Social Entrepreneurs. So let's put our hands together and give a CRM Agape house, welcome to Tammy Campson. Amen. God bless you as you come. Amen. Okay.
That's fine. Okay, I've got the notes here anyway, so I'll start here. So thank you very, very much for having me here. It's lovely to see you all. Thank you. And there's some handouts at the end that I'm going to give to you, so please do remind me to give that to you at the very end. And I know this is being recorded, so I'll try and stay somewhere in between these two places. That's fine. So to get us started, I just thought it would be good for me to share a little bit about myself, so you know some more about me directly. Obviously, you've heard a little bit of sort of a bio stroke intro, but I think it's worth me telling you some more about myself, so you know why I'm running this today. So as you heard, I am the founder of GT Scholars, which is a social enterprise based in London, though we work with young people across the world now. I started it in 2013, so that's 8 years ago now. And before starting as an entrepreneur, I actually worked in different careers. So I started my career in engineering. As you heard, I switched to investment banking, and then I switched again and decided to become a teacher. And that's the beauty of your career and your skills. You can really just change and do what you want to do. And that's what I'm here to really share with you today, that whatever your dreams are, you can go for it. As you know, as mentioned already, I went to the University of Nottingham, and I also went to the University of Cambridge. And I run GT Scholars because it's my passion. So it's something that I'm really passionate about seeing young people succeed and helping their parents so that they know exactly what they can do to help their kids succeed and achieve their best. And obviously I write about entrepreneurship as well. There are lots of things I want to show on the screen. Is it still possible to get it up? Or I can also do a Bluetooth connection if that's possible from my phone. Is there internet connection on there?
No.
I can connect it to my end.
the tough ones. White part, okay. Down with the global. So yeah, bear with us, people joining us virtually. Just trying to sort out the IT. Just say that. Okay. Yes. Yes, fine. Yeah. So we're almost there. Sorry, bro. We're almost there. Bear with us, just almost there. Links a bit slow. All right. Okay. So this link. Right. So we are almost there. Hopefully, you should be able to see the screen. Those joining us online, put on the video.
I'm going to stick in for you to change it. Can you do that? Brilliant, thank you. So the Entrepreneurship Masterclass, as I mentioned, there's quite a lot of things to cover today. So can you switch to the next screen, please? Right, so in today's masterclass, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking at some of the benefits of starting your own business, how to start your own business, what holds people back, so why do some people not want to start their own business, the support available to you, some of the top tips for new and seasoned entrepreneurs. And this session is going to be quite interactive. So I know everyone's sort of sitting down at home or here, but I do want you to participate. So I'm going to be asking you questions, and there will be time for questions at the end. So if you have any questions, do feel free to ask. Does everyone have a pen and paper somewhere to write on, or a phone? Yeah, brilliant. So you need that for today. Thanks. Right, so that's just a little bit about me. I've spoken about me already, but like I said, I've been in business for about 8 years now, and I've been doing it full time for about 7 years. So my first year of business, I was actually doing it part time, and I've run other businesses before. So I actually got interested in business from the age of about 16, and I was always kind of keen on what business was about, and I was always doing one business or another, even when I was at university. Right, so this is GT Scholars. GT stands for Gifted and Talented, and we run online courses for young people. So our courses range from how to get into Oxbridge to career summits. So we've had a career summit just last month where we had Lord Michael Hastings come speak to our young people, as well as a ton of volunteers. We also had a career summit in February of this year where we had 10,000 young people register for that summit and 5,000 attendees. So we do work across the UK, and the Career Summit is mostly for the UK, but all of our courses are available to young people all over the world. We also run tutoring and mentoring courses. That's just a little bit about what we do. And we run specific courses for young people particularly interested in engineering or technology and things like that. Okay, next slide, please. We've been featured in a ton of publications, The Guardian, BBC, Forbes, Cosmopolitan, etc. And there are just some of the places we've been featured. I also run another business, so I actually run more than one business. I don't often talk about this one. I run a business called Beyond VAs, where I work with virtual assistants across the world, and we provide online services to people such as website design, course creation, customer service, social media management, project management, a ton of things. So that's the beauty of running a business. Once you build those business skills, you can start running more and more businesses with time. You don't have to just run one business, but I do advise that you start with one and then you build up to add more other businesses as you get more confident. So why start a business? Why do you want to become an entrepreneur? So I'm actually asking you this as a question in this room right now. And I don't know if the audience at home can participate as well, if we'll be able to see their answers. But why do you want to run a business? Or why are you interested in business? Why are you interested in business? I'd love to know your answers.
Yeah, so people joining online can just put it in the chat box and send it to everyone. And then maybe one of us who's connected in as well can then read it out.
That would be great. Yeah.
So to have financial freedom.
Financial freedom, that's the most popular one. I definitely agree. Anything else? By the way, I'm a teacher, guys. So even though I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a teacher by background. So I'm going to come and pick up if you don't answer. Yes.
I think I have a personal passion.
Passion, absolutely.
To boost up financial.
Yeah. So you want to boost your finances and you have a passion for it. Anything else? Why would you want to start a business? Independent, yeah. So not to have, so to be your own boss and not have somebody tell you what to do. It's great, isn't it? Okay, we're going to move on. So why start a business? So why get started? Next slide. So typical answers: financial freedom, time freedom, and flexibility. I think that's my favorite part. So I love the finances, but I actually just love the time. I can have some freedom in my day. Self-leadership, so being your own boss, absolutely. Additional earnings, so even if you're doing it part-time, that's additional money coming in, so that's a good thing to have. Higher earning potential. We know that most of the self-made millionaires and billionaires in this world are entrepreneurs, so they made it through entrepreneurship. And also it gives you a chance to follow that passion of yours, that thing that you're interested in. Were there any other answers from the audience? Or no?
Was there any answer?
Anything's come in? No. No.
So that you don't have to rely.
You don't have to rely on other people. Absolutely. So control over your time. Next slide, please. There's some other benefits that people don't often talk about. So these are some of the benefits that I found for myself. So I've got to meet other people through networking. And as they say, your network is your net worth. And I love that. I love meeting people. And through running a business, I've got to meet some of the most amazing people. And I still do. So that's one of the things I love about running a business. It gives you a chance to develop your leadership skills and help develop your staff through your business. So that's a benefit that I didn't quite expect. So I get to work with my team, I get to develop them, I get to see them grow. I love seeing their development. I get to impact my customers through my business. So even though it doesn't feel the same as it used to, so years ago, it just used to feel so amazing. Now it just feels, I'm quite used to it now. But it's good to know that my business is making a difference and it's helping people, and that's both businesses. There's continuous growth for me, so I'm always growing. And as a Christian, it gives me a chance to share my faith and represent Christ in the business world. So lots of people in business will not be Christians, and it's your opportunity to go out there, and you're not necessarily evangelizing all the time, but they do see you and they do think, oh, there's something different about you. And actually that thing that's different is the fact that you're Christian. So what holds people back? Why do most people wait or just fail to get started with business? So lots of people say, there's a saying about lots of people, they live their whole lives, they want to start a business and then they end up not doing it. So why is it that lots of people don't end up getting started? Any ideas? Any suggestions? Fear of failure, that's a big one.
Sometimes I think I don't have enough money to start.
Yeah, they're sort of thinking, I just don't have the finances. How am I going to start without any money? There's a saying that people say you need money to make money often, but it's not necessarily true.
Lack of knowledge. Some people, they don't have the connectivity. They don't have connection.
Yeah, so they think, I don't have the network, I don't have the knowledge, how am I going to do it? Say the same thing. Anything else? Do you want to go for it? No? Okay. Next slide, please. So why do people wait?
Somebody said procrastination.
Procrastination. So they're waiting for the right time. They're thinking then maybe next year or maybe in January, or maybe there's always a right time. So typical reasons: fear of failure, absolutely, that's number one. Not enough support. So they're thinking, I don't have anyone to support me. If I get started with this thing, who's going to be there to help me? False beliefs about money. So people tend to think, oh, you know, if I make money, something might happen, or I might need money to get started. Where am I going to get it from? There's nowhere to get it from. I'm going to have to save. I'm going to, you know, they can't see how they're going to get money to get started. Fear of success. People are actually scared of being successful. They think, oh, if I'm going to be successful, what's that going to look like? That's going to change my life. And it's a strange thing, but it actually happens to a lot of people where they get scared of success. What's success going to look like for me? And what's a new life going to look like for me? And I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. So they want to stay in their comfort zone. People often believe that business people are crooked or evil. So there is that view that, oh my goodness, if you're a business person, you're going to be crooked or evil. I must say that considering that I've worked in a range of careers, the people that I've met that are some of the kindest, most generous people are entrepreneurs. Honestly, I've had so much support from so many people and they've been entrepreneurs, and there's often a generous spirit within that environment. So don't believe that business people are evil. Yes, there are some crooked people out there, but honestly, it's not true that all business people are evil. People often feel a lack of confidence or motivation, so they think, how am I going to get started? I don't know enough, I'm not good enough, that sort of feeling. Not enough time or energy, so they're thinking, I've got to look after the kids, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. You know, they're worried about all the things that they have to do. And then the financial resources, so they're thinking, how am I even going to get started? I have no money to get started. So we're going to look at how to handle each of these areas right now, because every single one of them can be addressed. So the first thing is fear of failure. So I mentioned earlier, fear of failure. Now, failure is not something to be scared of. A lot of us look at failure as if, oh, if I fail, that's it. But the reality is that in business, you are going to fail multiple times. And what do I mean by that? FAIL stands for first attempt in learning, F-A-I-L, first attempt in learning. Every time you fail, you are learning something. I've been running a business now for 8 years, and one thing I've learned is that every week, every month, I will fail in one way or another. Something will go wrong, and I will have to learn from it. So that fear of failure that might be holding you back, you need to look at it from a different point of view and think, what's the worst that can really happen? I do this thing and it doesn't quite work out. What do? I try something else. That method did not work. That strategy did not work. So that fear of failure that people hold on to, it makes no sense at all. There's nothing to be afraid of. So here's an image of what people think success looks like. They think, I'm going to try and be successful. I'm going to work really hard and it's going to be a beautiful straight line. Everything I do is going to go perfectly to the end. That is not what success looks like, especially in business. You will go through different routes to get to where you're going. You know where you're going, but you're going to go in different routes to get there until you get there. And you'll find that every successful business today, every single one of them, read up about them, Nike, Adidas, Puma, I'm mentioning brands that you guys will know, the younger ones, but the older ones, or anyone really, you know Airbnb, they all have a story behind them that shows that they had some failure first before they reach success. It has to happen. You just can't get there without some failures. And when I say failures, it could be little things. It could be even Apple. So I'm thinking about Apple now. If you know the story of Apple and Steve Jobs, you all know that there were lots of failures in that business before it really took off. And they still make failures from time to time. So look at it that way. Success is not a straight line. It often looks like this. Next line. So no support from family or friends. If you don't have support from family, if you don't have support from friends, go and make new friends. I'm serious. When I started my business, one thing I realized was that the people I was hanging around, they didn't run businesses, so they couldn't understand the challenges that I was having. So I needed to make new friends. I needed to find new people to surround myself with. And it was one of the best things I could do because they had the same kind of mindset and they were able to encourage me. So if you're in that position where you can't find support, go and find it. Go and meet people, go and network. I know lots of places are not necessarily open right now and you might have to, can't necessarily go and visit as many places as we used to, but you can go online, you can start networking online, you can join Facebook groups. There is so much support out there. There is no need for you to feel alone while running your business. Not enough time. So lots of people say, I don't have enough time. I remember speaking to a lady a few months ago and she was telling me that she's just had a baby. She's got 3 kids under the age of 5. And she was just explaining how she's trying to start her business, but she's trying to find little gaps between when they nap. And I was like, this is not going to work. She said, oh, does that mean I can't run my business? I said, no, you can run your business. What you need to do is wait until they're asleep. And between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m., that's when you work. And it might seem insane because you're thinking, who's going to wake up at 4 a.m. or who's going to wake up at 5 a.m.? Do you want to run a business? If you want to run a business, you might have to wake up early. Yeah, and it might seem really impossible because you're thinking, how am I going to do that? You'll find that your body clock will adjust and you'll start waking up early. It will happen naturally. So if you're thinking you don't have the time because you've got your family running around and all of that going on, then find the time, whether it's late at night or early in the morning. I genuinely say go for early in the morning because if it's late at night, you sleep off. But if it's in the morning, at least you're working yourself up. You've got some hours there to get stuff done. If you're serious about it, you might have to make some sacrifices, and that might mean waking up early and less Netflix and less whatever it is, distractions that you might be doing. Fewer distractions, more focus. That's what we need. So you do have the time. You will find it. Right, let's move on. Lack of confidence and motivation. If you don't have the confidence right now, you can get it. How do you get confidence? Does anyone know? How do you get confidence? Or can anyone tell me? How do you just get confidence? Just grab it. Oh, sorry. Word of God, yeah. Yeah, I love that.
You pray for it, one at a time to just, that is what was there. I mean, so part of my personal personality for you.
Yeah.
You try.
Yeah.
You try to, just try something.
Just try. I love that. Just try it. And actually, that's it. It's about trying. The confidence doesn't just come over. You don't just walk one day and just go, oh, wow, look, I'm just confident. It's just happened. You've got to keep doing it. Practice makes you more confident. So actually doing things over and over again. The more you do it, the more confident you will be. So if you're thinking, I'm not confident in business right now, the first step we could do is actually say, why am I not confident? It's probably because I don't know enough about this particular area. How can I fix that? And you learn about it. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Confidence isn't something that is just going to happen. You need to go and pursue it. So you need to actually say, yes, you can pray about it, absolutely, but you also need to take the steps and say, actually, I don't know enough about this area. Let me go and learn. That is where you get that confidence from. If you're lacking in motivation, then you need to question what it is that is causing you to not feel motivated. Is it because you're going through a lot of personal things? Is it because you're scared? It's probably connected to something else in this diagram. Yeah. So if you're lacking motivation, you need to find the root of it. Most of these things involve just asking yourself questions. Yeah. So why am I feeling this way? Why am I lacking confidence? Why am I lacking motivation? Next slide, please. So no financial resources. People often say, oh, I need to find some money so I can start my business. I need to find £10,000. I need to find £50,000. I need to find 100,000. How am I going to start a business if I don't have £1 million? You don't need that. What you need to do is really assess your business and have a think about the journey. We're going to be going into detail with that as we go through. But what you need to do is understand, how much do I really need to get started with this business? What you'll often find is that you don't actually need as much as you initially thought, number one. Number two, there is investment out there where people will invest in your business, so you don't have to use your own money. So think about that really carefully. You don't need to go and start saving money or that sort of thing. You just need to think it through. Do I have a strong business idea? And if I do, where can I get the money from? Yeah, it doesn't have to be your own money. Next slide. Right, so this is the Iceberg Illusion. Some of you may have seen this before, and it just talks about success and what people see when they see success. This is something I got off Instagram. You can see, I have to reference the Sylvia.com, it's where I got it from. So the Iceberg Illusion. So how many of you have seen this before? Yeah, you've seen it before, yeah. So on the top, it's what people see, the success, right? You see success, they say, oh wow, look at that person, so successful. But what's really going on underneath? They've had to be persistent. They've failed a few times. They've had to make sacrifices. We spoke about that already, giving up their time, their things that they would have liked to do. Maybe instead of working, they would have loved to, just sleep a bit longer. They've had to go through disappointment, probably many times. They've had to put in the discipline, hard work, the dedication. That's the stuff that people don't see. Yeah. So what people see on the outside is, oh, this person's so successful, how great. But actually, you forget that there's so many ingredients that got them to that stage. So the last part there is false beliefs about money, the business world, or fear of success. And the reason I mention this is because lots of people feel that, oh, how am I going to run a business? That means I'm going to start charging people money. Is that going to make me a bad person? Or will I start chasing after money and then I'll become evil or something like that? So just to remind us that, if you can go to the next slide, please. And it even says this in the Bible, the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Yeah, it's the love of money. It's not the money that's evil, it's the love of it. So you've just got to be mindful of that. That are you in love with the money, or are you trying to just do something and earn more money? There is nothing wrong with that. Yeah, so there's often a mindset, even in Christendom, where people kind of think, oh, if you're running a business, that's a bad thing, or oh, look at that business person. Or you might even look at some successful business people and you think, oh, that person must be doing something that's wrong in order to make their money. They probably are not doing something wrong. They're probably doing the right things, that they've got their mind in the right place, where they realize that it's not money that is evil, it's the love of money that is evil. So you've just got to be mindful of that. But when you're going into business, what is your motivation for going into it? And if you're going into it just for the money, think carefully about the way you're thinking, because you shouldn't love money. Money is just a beautiful resource to have and to spend and be hopefully generous with. Next slide. So how do you get started with business? So I'm going to go through some essentials that you'll need to help you get started. And there are lots of resources that I'm going to be sharing with you as well. Yeah. So before you get started, there are two things I want you to do. Think carefully before you take action. So think and then take action. So this thinking slide is really, really important before you take action. So first of all, you need to decide on your product or service or your idea. Think about this part really carefully. What is that product, service, or idea? How many of you have ideas in your idea? Business idea you want to develop? Any others? You've got many. Oh, brilliant. Yes. Have you got one that you want to start with? You're already into it. What is the business? Do you mind telling us? This is your marketing opportunity. You're just getting started, so you're just getting started. Okay, perfect. Right. So the first step you need to do is to decide on your business. Are there anyone in the audience that maybe has a business idea that they've sent in the chat on Zoom? Nothing's come up. Not yet. Okay. So what I want you to do is think carefully about your business, product, service, or idea. Just think about it. Spend time thinking about it. It's worth this stage, this thinking stage. As you think about it, I want you to think if you need investment to get started. Do you need some money to get started with this business? That's a really important thing. How much time do you need to get started with the business? Think about the business structure. Is it just going to be you, or do you need a business partner? And then think about where you're going to get customers from. These first bits of thinking are really important before you take action, because when you take action, you're going to start marketing your business, you're going to start selling to your customers, and you're going to do all those steps that actually involve going to different places and making this thing happen. But the reason I want you to think is because without this thinking piece, you're going to lose out on something really important. Next slide, please. People jump in and they say, I have a business idea, I'm just going to jump and get started. And then they end up wasting time and money on things that they don't need quite yet. So what I mean by that is that they run in and they say, I've got a business idea, I'm going to start selling, I don't know, shoes or cars or something like that, I don't know. And the first thing they do is they say, I'm going to get business cards. So then they spend 2-3 weeks trying to get business cards. And then they say, oh, I'm going to need a business plan. And they spend 2 or 3 months starting creating a business plan. And,
Especially for those joining us,
Okay, yeah.
to make it easier for them to be able to follow.
So if you can do by 7:30, you arrive there maybe 5-10 minutes early than your normal.
So as we're saying, people get distracted and they make these mistakes and they end up wasting a lot of time and money on things that they don't quite need yet. So it could be business cards, it could be a business plan. I'm not saying you don't need a business plan, but there's a time and place for it. You don't need it straight away. And actually, more than a business plan, you actually need a marketing plan. So that's actually more important than a business plan. Then they spend another 2 months putting a website together. Yeah. Then they spend another month or so getting the perfect logo. Then they spend another month getting this perfect trademark. Then they spend another month or 2 getting a building, an office. And then they start looking for staff to hire in this place. And they end up, if they're selling products, so if they're selling, I don't know, like I said, they might be selling widgets of some sort, they then buy thousands of them. And then they find a warehouse and they put it in the warehouse. They put all the things that they bought into their warehouse. What's wrong with all the things I've just said?
So before me, I talk, you don't have
a single customer yet. But they've registered their business, they've got a website, they've got social media presence, they've got everything. But what's happened? They don't have anyone to sell it to. So that's why I said it's a typical mistake. People jump in and they haven't done that thinking piece. They haven't gone back to that thinking piece. So go to the next slide, please. I love this. I always ask myself, so this is something I always say, what is the cheapest, easiest, fastest way to get started and start earning an income through this idea? This one idea I have, how can I get it off the ground as soon as possible? Yeah. So instead of me thinking, oh, I need to get a beautiful website, or I need to find a shop, you know, so some people say, I've got a business idea, I want to start selling a product. I'm going to find a shop, building, and I'm going to start selling the product in that building. But they still haven't thought about their marketing. Or some people will say, oh, I want to start a restaurant. So they get the building, they do, that's a lot of work actually if you want to start a restaurant. They get the building, they find a location, they shop around, they do everything, they find the chef, and then they start, and then they realize, oh no, I don't have any customers. Yeah. So actually the first step they should have been taking was, how do I get the customers in advance before I even set this thing off, before I even launch this business? Next slide, please. So I'm going to go, actually, you can go back 2 slides. One more. So going back to that thinking piece, decide on your product, decide if you need investment, decide on the structure, and think about where to find customers. That is your step, that is your process. Think about all of that first before you start marketing your business, selling to your customers, and then registering your business. And notice that I put that at the bottom. Marketing and selling is, you've got to do that. All the things I said later, next slide, business card, business plan, logo, etc. They're going to come naturally in the process of you taking action. It's going to happen naturally. You will do it as you need to do it, but don't try and do it in advance. Make sure you figured out how you're going to get your customers first. If you don't know how to get customers, you haven't got a business. Next slide, please. And another one. Okay, so what do you need if you want to start a business? You need to register as self-employed. You can do that with HMRC. That's very easy. So just go to their website and look for the place to register as self-employed, or type that into Google. You need to register your business. I'm going to say you might need to register your business. Depends on the structure you want. So if you want to be just a self-employed person, you just register with HMRC. But if you want an actual business structure, especially if you have partners or you want to set up a limited company, then you need to register your business. There's a website called Companies Made Simple that can help you with that in terms of doing your research and learning more. So having a legal structure. You might need an accountant, especially if you're registering as a business. You might need an accountant, so you need to look into that. Don't spend a ton of money on an accountant if you're not ready for your business yet. So take your time with this, one step at a time. You're going to need a way to keep and manage your receipts. So often what I recommend is this. It seems so simple, but you'll be amazed at the number of entrepreneurs and the amount of time I wasted in my first year of not having this. So what I do with this, I get this from Amazon for about £3. And you put the month on each one of these and you put your receipts inside. So you say, this is January, these are all my receipts for January. February, all my receipts for February. Yeah, that's all you need to do. I know it sounds simple, but you'll be amazed at the number of entrepreneurs. I'm not the only one who's done this, where I just have a box of receipts. I put all the receipts in a box, and then come tax time, oh my goodness, what have I done? Receipts, and then I'm going through my receipts or giving it to a PA to help me, and it's a mess. So just try and be organized, basically, is what I'm trying to say. You need an invoicing and payment collection system. You can do that very easily on PayPal or Xero, that's another app, or Wave apps. Those are some popular ones. There are loads of them out there if you want to have an invoicing system. You need a marketing plan. Notice that I didn't say a business plan. Again, a marketing plan. You might need a business plan if you're applying for a loan, but a marketing plan is actually the most important thing for you to get started, because you need to know how are you going to reach your customers. A marketing plan is really important. You need to make time to learn about business. So don't assume that you know it all already or you have all the skills already. You can never know enough about business. I make sure I dedicate at least 5 hours a week to learning more about business. That is just something I do. I know I need it. So every single time I'm either listening to a podcast, reading a book, I'm constantly learning about how to improve my business. And then you need to make sure you have time for sales, marketing, customer services, and product delivery. And this is all part of your thinking process and your planning process. If you know that in order for my business to run, I'm going to need time to sell stuff, right? I'm going to need time to deliver my product if I'm delivering products. I need time for marketing. I need time. If you can think about it in that point of view, then you'll know how much time you need to run your business, because now you're looking at it from a holistic point of view rather than, oh, I just don't have enough time. Now you can be clear that actually I'm going to need time for this, time for that, etc. Next slide, please. So if you want to succeed in business, these are my top tips. So these are my top tips, not just for new entrepreneurs, but also for seasoned entrepreneurs as well. So you might know this already, and this sounds like doom and gloom, doesn't it? How many of you know this already, that 90% of startups fail within a year or two? Yeah, I think that's where the fear of failure comes from, because people know these statistics, so they say, oh my goodness, I'm going to be among the 90%. Why would you be among the 90%? There's no need for you to be amongst the 90%. Yeah, so what are the 10% doing differently? Yeah, so that's what you want to know. What are those 10% doing that you want to do as well? So next slide. I love this saying from Abraham Lincoln. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. This saying is just about strategy. That's all it's about. Why does he want to sharpen the axe? Because he knows if he's got a really good sharp axe, he's going to be able to cut that tree really quickly. If his axe is not sharp, he's not going to get that tree cut down in 6 hours. And that's exactly the way it works with business. You need to have a strategy. If you don't have one, you're going to find it harder than it needs to be. Next slide, please. So before you get started, I've put an estimated number of hours there. I said dedicate at least 40 to 80 hours or 4 to 8 weeks researching and planning before launching your business. That doesn't have to be full-time hours. That could be 10 hours a week. And if you spend about 4 to 8 weeks doing 10 hours a week intensely, doing your research, understanding and doing that strategy piece, it will be worth it, I promise you, because you'll know what you're doing before you get started. Now, you might say, oh, I just want to jump in and start. I don't want to think about it. That's fine. You could just jump in and start, but don't forget to still understand your business before you get started. So you can start while doing your research, that's fine, but make sure you're doing your research as well to understand what you're doing. And when I say researching and planning, I don't mean creating some kind of essay or something like that, dissertation of some sort. What I mean is thinking about how you're going to get those customers. Going into Facebook groups, asking people, you know, if you've got a product, it'll be good to know if anyone's got a business idea here that they have already that I can use as an example. But let's say you have a product, you could put a design together and show it to people and say, what do you think of this design? If people tell you it's not a really nice design, that kind of gives you an indication that you need to improve the design before you actually build that product, right? Worst thing is, how many of you watch Dragon's Den? Okay, so you'll know these stories of these people that come in with these ideas and they come in front of the dragons and they say, oh, my idea is amazing, my product's amazing. And all the dragons go, no, this is really bad. And then they ask the person who's presenting, how much have you spent on this? My whole life savings, I've remortgaged my house. It's, you know, I've invested at least £250,000. And you think, and they never found a single customer. They couldn't ask somebody for advice. That is wrong, right? They should have asked at least one person, well, apart from their family and friends, because family and friends will often say, that's a really good idea. They might not be able to tell you the truth, right? Or they might think it's a great idea, but they're not your customer. So they're going to say, it's great, go do it. So before you build that product, invest millions of pounds, go and find customers. Just find one person who thinks this is a good idea. There's something called, so it's called prototyping, basically. That's what we're doing. You're creating a lean version or a prototype of what you want to do. So you're showing people a design of what you're going to do, or you're giving them an idea of what you want to do. So for example, with GT Scholars, before I went global, I was running it in Croydon in a library. I literally ran it in a library in Croydon for a year. And that was my test. I wanted to test to see if people would like what I'm doing. And they did. People came, people saw the posters, people liked it, and they came and they gave great feedback. And from there, I thought, okay, that means I can do it throughout London. Tried it there as well. Lots of great feedback. Guess what? I can now do it throughout the UK, right? Great feedback. What does that mean? I can start selling globally, right? So the point is, you've got to start somewhere. Don't think to yourself, I'm just going to go out there and see if I can find somebody and I'm going to build this thing. Don't build it yet. Find out, build a small version of it, find out what people think, and then start building bigger and bigger and bigger. And even the same with our online courses. When we started doing online courses, initially we just used to do webinars. So people would come to our webinars, they like it. Okay, good. So we're doing a free webinar, we're testing to see if people like it. Let's see what else we can do. We're going to make a mini course. People will like it. Let's see what we can do. Now we're going to create the bigger courses. Does that make sense? So both start small and then keep increasing it. If you're doing something like, I don't know, I'm trying to think maybe something, lots of people do t-shirts, say for instance, or hair. You might think, oh, I'm just going to buy 1,000 t-shirts. Don't do that, please. You haven't got it yet. Set up a store, online store, and put some of the t-shirt designs on the store. And don't even buy them yet, just put them as designs. Or put an Instagram, just put them as designs. They're not real, they're just designs. And then when people order, then you start designing. Because then you know that you have customers. Does this all make sense to everyone? Yeah, okay, brilliant. So when I say dedicate time, I mean dedicate time to thinking. Just thinking. You can do and think at the same time, but you want to be thinking. Then learn as much as possible about your new business. And I put there, don't do anything yet, because some people say, oh, I'm learning, but I'm just doing. They're just distracting themselves. So they're on social media, getting lots of followers. That's very common in business. People say, I have 1 million followers. They haven't made £1. That's pointless. You're not trying to get followers. You're trying to earn an income here. So learn as much as possible about your business. Look at your competitors and see who else is in business. What are they doing? What can I learn from them? So I put there, think about how, where, and when you'll run your business. The example I gave of the lady who was trying to juggle with her 3 kids and run her business, she was struggling because she hadn't had to think about how, where, and when she'll run her business. So she was just trying to do it when her kids sleep or when one has gone to nursery. And she needed to realize that the only quiet time she has in her day is when those kids are asleep. And once she realized that, then she was able to actually get on with the business and do it for those. Yes, she doesn't have the whole day, but she gets a guaranteed 1 or 2 hours every morning to spend on her business. Then you need to think about, do you need partners? Is this something you want to do on your own, or do you want to get partners? Remember, there's pros and cons to getting partners. Often I think to myself, oh, I wish I had a business partner. Then my friends who run businesses with partners, I think, oh, actually, I'm glad I do it on my own. Yeah, so it's up to you how you do it, but you need to think carefully about whether you need a partner and who the right partner is if you bring partners on board. Is this business going to be profitable? That's part of your thinking process as well. So before you get started, is this business going to be profitable? Be really careful here, because you can start thinking to yourself, oh, I'm going to sell these t-shirts for £10 and the website is going to cost this, you found out the cost of everything, and then you realize that, oh, I'm only going to make 20p per sale of a t-shirt. That means I'm going to need to sell 1,000 t-shirts in order to make X amount. Do you see what I mean? You then start seeing that this business is not the right one for me. And then you switch. That's why it's worth spending these hours, because once you spent these hours on a business that isn't quite the right one, you just move on to the next one. You haven't then wasted money registering that business, doing all the things that you would have done if you just jumped in to get started. Who are your competitors? What will make you unique? So why will people come to you? People are not going to come to you just because you're different or just because you're new. You're going to have to offer something that's really unique, and you're also going to think carefully about your marketing as well to make yourself unique and stand out. And then do as much networking as possible. I mentioned that earlier. And then find a mentor if possible. Honestly, I couldn't get to where I am today if I couldn't have achieved the goals I've had if I didn't have a mentor. So make sure you find somebody to mentor you. 2-3 mentors, great. The more the mentors, the better. People can add, and when I say mentor, it doesn't have to be somebody that you talk to every single day or week or something like that. Just people you know that you can approach and ask for advice when you need it. That's also part of building your network. Right, next slide, please. So why do all of this? Why do it this way? Because when you network, when you start meeting people, you're going to find cheap or low cost help for your business. Yeah. So you're going to find people who say, oh, I can do this for you at a cheaper price, or I know somewhere where you can do this. Yeah. And as you search for things online, you're going to find things where it's going to be done really quickly for you without you having to do it for yourself. You may also find mentors, business partners, investors as you start networking if you use this method. So these 40 to 80 hours I'm talking about, if you do it this way, you're more likely to get more. So this is part of sharpening your axe, so your strategy. You may find that your business idea is not worth pursuing, like I mentioned before, and that is okay. Don't feel bad about that. That's a good thing. If you didn't spend time on that business and you realize that, actually, I was going to make no money anyway, it's time to say goodbye. Say goodbye quickly and move on. And you may find that you need to just get started and be ready to pivot. So you may find that with all your research, you're thinking, it's borderline. I don't know. I can't say for sure. This could be a huge success, or we could fail. I don't know, right? Guess what? If you're in that position, it means you need to do it. Yeah, because if there's potential in that business, then it means there's a chance that it could become very, very successful. So I'm going to give you some examples. Airbnb. Everyone knows Airbnb, don't they? Did you know that they really struggled in their first few years? They weren't even called Airbnb at the time. So they were only based in one location. So they weren't based globally. They were just based in one location. And it really was Airbnb. They used to get airbeds. You know airbeds? Yeah. And what they would do is people could rent out their homes and have airbeds, and you could sleep on an airbed in a room. Not joking. This was Airbnb. And then over time, there was a conference in their area. So this was a failing business. They were not making any money. I think it was 2 or 3 guys, and they weren't doing particularly well, but they were convinced that there's hope. They didn't have a plan per se, but they kind of thought, there's something in this. We believe in this thing. So over time, there was a conference in their area where they lived, and for that conference, lots of people needed to come. And so therefore, they needed more airbeds for more areas locally. And then they realized something. We could make this bigger. We don't have to just do this here. We can do this around the world. And that's how Airbnb was born. Started with a small idea in a small area. Yeah, so think about it that way. Instagram, does anyone know what Instagram used to be before it became Instagram? It was just a photo filter service. All they did was filter photos. That's all. So people could go on Instagram. It wasn't even called Instagram, it was called something else, I can't remember the name now. But you could go on it and you could edit your photo. And then they realized, oh, hold on, maybe we can do something more with this. And over time, this idea developed. So the reason I give these two as examples is because what they are today is not where they started. Yeah. So think about this carefully. When you have a business idea, you don't have to have the biggest idea in the world yet. You just need to have an idea that you think can take off the ground. Yeah. And once you do that, then you can then build it up over time. Facebook as well started with just university students. So I do think Mark Zuckerberg is way too smart. He knew he was going to go global from day one, right? But he started in his college only. So he started with only people that attended his college, then a few more colleges, then a few more, and then he opened globally. And at that time, they didn't even have a plan for how they were going to make money from Facebook yet. Over time, then we see the adverts, then we see all the other things coming up, right? But if anyone remembers the old Facebook, the Facebook of many years ago, any older people remember this, there were no adverts on Facebook. It was just Facebook. And then he had to think about how he was going to monetize it and make money. He probably already had the idea in mind, but then he had to implement it with time. And that's how business works. It's just growing and stepping, you've got to start somewhere and then you build on top of that. So do that from the beginning and make sure you haven't built too far without realizing that this is not profitable. So start first by thinking about how am I going to get those customers and then build up as you go. Right, next slide, please. Oh, go back. Okay, so these are my final tips. The sun has moved. So these are my final tips. Have a plan, but be ready to pivot and make changes. So it's similar to what I just said. Have a plan. So that strategy I spoke about, marketing, etc. Have a plan, but be ready. At some point, while you're talking to somebody, somebody's going to say something and you go, oh, I could do that with my business. And you're going to realize that there's, you hear? And you're going to realize that there's more potential in your business than maybe you initially thought. And that's why having those mentors is really important. So be ready to pivot. And I often say, spend time on your business strategy. So don't just work in the business like a busy person and just constantly, I'm trying to sell my product, I'm trying to find new customers. Spend time just looking at the business from a bird's eye point of view. So look at it from a strategy view. Brainstorm about your business. I often say at least 2 hours a week you should be spending just thinking about the business as a whole. What can we improve? What's different? What opportunities are out there, right? The next thing is build a support network. I mentioned before that if you don't have one, go and find one. There are people out there that want to help, right? So don't sit down there and say, oh, nobody cares about my business. My family say my business idea is rubbish. My friends refuse to buy my products. Your friends are not going to buy your products. You'll be lucky if they do. I had a friend once who was complaining to me that none of her friends like her social media posts. They don't need to like your social media posts. You need customers to like your social media posts. That's what you need. And you need customers to buy your products. But people get so caught up in their social network and they forget that the planet has how many billion people? You don't need to sell to your friends. There are lots of people, especially online as well, that you can sell to. Entrepreneurship can also be quite a lonely journey. So be friendly and talk to people. The reason I'm here now is because I believe it was Dr. Aderemi's. But do you know him personally? Okay, brilliant. So I went, so another person basically recommended me to come to speak here. But the point is that I've met him through networking as well. So I met that person through someone else. Does that make sense? That's how networking works. It's not some special magic thing. It's just about being friendly. And then when people know that you're friendly and they know that you're a decent person, then people will recommend you. It's not some sort of special, because people often say, oh, I'm a special networker. There's nothing special about it. It's just about being a decent person, right? So also be generous with your connections. So say, for instance, I know somebody, say for instance, I don't know, somebody's selling a product, I might say, oh, I know somebody that can help you with that. If people see that you do that for other people, they'll want to do it for you as well, because they'll know that, oh, you're generally quite, you know, you think of other people and you consider them in your connections. And then find people who understand the challenges that you are going through as a business person. Remember that diagram with success and all the things underneath. You're going to need people who you can just call and just say, you know what, I had a really hard week today. I didn't make any sales. Or, you know what, last month was really rubbish. I think, you know, I'm really worried about my business. What can I do? Because that person can be your cheerleader. And that person can say, actually, you know what, you've done really well. Remember how you did last year? Why don't you try that method again? Why don't you try a special, I don't know, Black Friday sale promotion? They'll give you ideas, but you're not going to get that if you don't have somebody in your corner cheering for you. So I would say get at least 3 cheerleaders. So I have cheerleaders that I go to, people I can go and I can call, and I can, if I'm having a really bad day, I can call them and I can just tell them what's going on, and I can be really honest with them, and they can say, oh, you know, tell me, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? They will always encourage me. Make sure you have those people in your life. And then again, find people who can connect you with further opportunities for your business to grow. So people who will always consider you and say, oh, I have somebody I want to introduce you to, or actually I saw this website and I thought of you. You need people like that around you. Then manage your finances diligently. This is so important. So be really mindful and diligent when it comes to your taxes and expenses, because you could find yourself in a not so great position where you suddenly have a massive tax bill to pay because you haven't thought about it or planned for it. So you need to think about this carefully. And this is where an accountant is useful to come in. Initially, when you're starting your business, you probably won't need one, but over time you will. So things like your VAT, all those other things, your annual taxes that you do for your company, and then as a self-employed person. So it can add up in terms of paperwork and things to do. And if you don't like admin, then you will struggle. So try and get an accountant and a bookkeeper, or try and dedicate some time to your own bookkeeping if you can't afford a bookkeeper yet. Watch out for things like late fees. Keep looking for your admin. Make sure you're on top of things. And then watch out for scams and fraudulent business offers, because you will see them and they will keep coming to you, especially as you're trying to progress in your business. So there'll be somebody that will say, I can do this for you for £10,000. I can do this for you for £500. And then before you know it, you think, oh, let me just pay them to help me. And then you're then caught up in something. So make sure you do your research. If in doubt, sleep on it. That's a great rule. If you're not sure, don't say yes that day. Say you need time to think of it. If they're telling you, no, you have to make a decision now, just say no. Yeah, because if they're pressuring you to make a decision now, then it means there's a problem. So you need to sleep on it, wake up in the morning, and then hopefully, by God's grace, you'll get the answer, you'll know what to do. Then always check if your business is making a profit or if you're just running an expensive hobby. So the reason I say that is because so many people are running an expensive hobby, yeah? So they're running something, they say it's a business. And when I say that, I don't mean it in a way of thinking if your business isn't making money yet, then stop running your business. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, what is the potential here? If you're looking at the business and you're thinking, even if I sold 10 million of these things, I still wouldn't make a lot of money, then it might mean that it's time to stop. And there's nothing wrong with that. Remember the story of Airbnb, the story of Instagram, everyone's had to pivot at some point. So you might need to think, I need to change that strategy, which goes back to the first one about be ready to pivot. Yeah. So are you running a business or are you just running an expensive hobby? You need to keep asking yourself that. And then lastly, keep on growing and learning. And this is, for me, is the most important thing, maybe because I'm a teacher by background, so I just love learning anyway. The entrepreneurship process is a never-ending learning journey. You're always going to be learning something new, not just about business, but also about yourself as well. So stay open-minded, keep on learning. Also make sure you're learning about things like investing as well. So your money that you earn from this, you can invest it in, say, for instance, the stock market, things like that. You will always find that there's opportunities for you to learn. So that's the beauty of business. If you're not learning, if you're not growing, your business will not grow. They just go hand in hand. You need to be learning in order for your business to grow. And that is it. Those are my final tips. Next slide, please. So thank you very much. I think I've managed to do it in just under the hour. And it's a great opportunity for you to ask questions. That's my website, setemicampson.org. And then if you're interested in our programs for young people, including our entrepreneurship courses for young people, our investing courses for young people, and our maths tutoring programs, etc., gtscholars.org/subscribe, and then you can connect with us online. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. All right. Do we have any questions? Next slide, please.
Yes, so people
there's some
joining
resources
online.
coming out for you, so just look out for those. They're coming around. So there's a list of websites that I think will be quite useful for most people. So do look at them. They should be able to help you.
Yeah, so people joining online, if you have any question, you can just put it in the chat box and then we'll read it out.
Is that a question?
Yeah. We're talking about fear. That's one of the things that people down moving forward. And I think one of which is like the fear of loss. Yeah, and we talk about the stories about when you try to have a planning before you into it. But at times, I think, what do you think? Like if you continue planning, I think the fear will continue to wander.
Yeah.
Like you want to, read more.
Yeah.
And you see something that will scare you more.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I think it's better I don't go to it. I don't want to have that because if I should put my money,
Yeah.
How will I feel?
Yeah. And that's a really good question. Yeah.
So what do you think? How long do you think you want to sit down and continue preparing?
Yes.
Because if they continue preparing and you not get it.
Yeah.
And how much information do you think one should
put together? Yeah.
Not create the barrier.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's important to think about what you're thinking about. So your point is not to just keep thinking, oh no, what's going to go wrong? Or you're actually looking for a way to get your first customer. That's what you're thinking about. So if you're thinking about just generally, how hard is business, that you've chosen to meditate on that, that's you're not going to get anything good from that, right? But if you say, how do I get my first customer? That is a good thing to think about. You will get some answers in there. And if you find that there's no answer coming to you, then it means you're not ready to start the business because you haven't figured out how to get your first customer. Does that make sense? Another thing you might want to think about is meeting other people, because when you meet other people that are running their business, sometimes you look at them and say, oh, this person is just, I don't even know how they did it. But when you meet them and talk to them, you'll find that they're just like you and me. They're human beings. They also have their own challenges. And when you listen to their stories, you'll understand that actually it probably wasn't as straightforward as it looks. And they might even be happy to help you and give you some advice. So you're absolutely right. If you're not careful and you spend too much time thinking, especially if you're thinking of the wrong things, you won't start that business. But what you want to be thinking about is, how can I make this happen? So how can I get my first customer? If you're thinking about that, you're not going to want to give up unless you realize that there's no way to get a first customer. Another thing to add to that is training. So I've put there on how do I boost my business skills on this sheet. And I've put there places where to learn about business. If you're not feeling confident and you're overthinking, you're not going to get very far. But this will give you the confidence, because when you go to courses, and a lot of these courses are free or they're not too expensive, when you go to these one-day courses or half a day, then you'll get to meet other people that are running their business or people that are just getting started, and you'll see that they're just as scared as you, right? They'll all be sitting there in the room going, oh, I don't know how to do this, I'm really worried. And the person who's doing the training will say, try this, try that. It's almost like starting school all over again. Yeah. So you're going to start there thinking, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing, but over time you'll start learning things. And then the talk about money, and that's a good one as well. You don't actually have to necessarily use your own money to start. I mentioned getting startup loans. There are lots of startup loans available, and people often think, oh, if I can't pay the loan back, what will happen? It's a business loan, so it's not usually secured against anything on you anyway. Yeah, so make sure you do your research first. So think of it that way. How can I make this? Maybe on my slide, I should have said, how can I make this as reduce the risk as much as possible as well? So you're not too worried. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
But I think I don't think
No. How do I? Or just generally? So, yeah, so I mean, today everyone is online, right? So that's one of the best ways to do this, but it depends on your business. So if your business, and even if your business is an offline business, you can still advertise online, because what you can do is you can target people in your local area. Yeah, and you can get people to recommend other things as well. So your marketing strategy is going to depend on your business. If your business is, say, for instance, okay, we're in a school building now. So if for instance, my products were selling things to schools, I would just need to target schools. I don't necessarily need to go online to find customers. I already know that I'm selling products to schools, so I need to just look for schools and approach them directly. Does that make sense? So you need to know who you're targeting and then find a way to actually reach those people. That's why I said know your customer first and then know where they are, and then you can advertise them. Does that make sense? Yeah.
that's really answer part of my question.
Your question.
Because I was thinking there are some things that we may not think about. How can I get direct customers? Like maybe I want to go to a restaurant and targeting KFC or whoever in my okay, I will think about, okay, is this location okay?
Yeah.
What you are explaining now.
Yeah.
I think that will answer the issue. How will I get my customer?
Yeah. You go to the location. You can even start doing a promo where people can sign up to something and they can get a special discount at the special opening that you're going to have. Yeah, you think about everything. You go and look at all the other restaurants that are successful. What are they doing? They have a stamp system. If you buy 5 chickens, you get 1 free, or whatever. Whatever they're doing, you need to learn it and do it yourself, right? Before you start leasing that building, right? You need to go and learn how to do it. How are you going to market? So do you need to, before you open the restaurant? So if you're distributing flyers, you're not just distributing them, that's almost pointless. Flyers that, sorry, this is going on and off, I'm not sure why. I'm going to just talk loudly. Would that work? I just talk loud.
You can use the other one.
So you might say, I'm going to distribute flyers, and at the bottom of each flyer, they get a special QR code or a special website they can go to where they can get £10 off their first meal when we open. People are going to keep that flyer. They're not going to keep a flyer where you just say, we're opening a new restaurant. That's a pointless flyer. They're going to throw it away. You need to give them something so they can come back to you. Yeah, so that's the point of marketing. You give somebody something and then the person comes back to you for a reason. Yeah, but they're not going to come back to you just because you said new restaurant opening. Who cares? All right. But if you say new restaurant opening, £10 off your first meal, if you keep this flyer, they're going to come back. That's strategy, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about customers, business that's like selling, and what about business like we're thinking about nowadays, many people on this phone and all sorts of things like that? What is your advice for them?
I'm not an investor in Bitcoin, so I can't give you any advice. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not, I don't look into it, I'm not interested, I'm not, that probably doesn't sound right, because you're probably thinking, oh, you're a business person, you should be. I know my lane and I'm working in that lane. And then if by inspiration I hear God say, you know, go into Bitcoin, I might look into it, but personally it's not of interest to me. Having said that, you can look into investing in general, so investing in the stock market. Stock market has been around for hundreds of years. So I kind of trust that a little bit more, a lot more actually. So you can look into that, and I think I've put a link at the end for our courses on investing for young people. So the last 2 links, one of them is GT Scholars. We've got our courses for teaching young people about investing, and then there's also a course you can do with Dr. Aderemi Banjoko, where he teaches adults about investing as well, and trading. So you can learn those things. There's nothing wrong with it, but I personally, I don't really see them as clear businesses when it comes to Bitcoin. just because of the things I've heard, and it's not clear to me. I haven't understood it. I haven't done that process yet of thinking about it, researching. It's a lot of work to do, especially if I don't know about, if it's not something that I'm passionate about. So if I am passionate about it, for me, if a new business idea came to me, the first thing I would do is really think about it. Am I passionate about this, and do I think I'm going to make a lot of money from it? If the answer is yes to both, passion is important to me. So I know that I'll get bored. I won't do it if I'm not passionate. So I need to look at those two things. Then I'm going to spend those 4 to 8 weeks doing all of that work and making sure I understand the business and coming up with a strategy and finding how I'm going to make money from it. I don't know how it works with Bitcoin, so I'm a no.
Do you give training to adults apart from the young ones, like if you want to invite to like women program or something?
Yeah, I do, yeah, yes.
How do we get more business ideas, or how can we get it? Personally, for me, certain times maybe I have an idea. I'm looking at the market, and I think it's not oversubscribed.
Yeah, like oversaturated. There are too many people there.
How do you get?
I think it's just about looking around you. So there are problems everywhere. A business idea is basically just solving a problem. That's all it is. So just look around you and make sure you write it down. So every time you have an idea, especially if it's a problem that you have. So it might be something that you're doing every day and you're thinking, why do I have to do this every day? Surely there must be a better way. There you go, you've got a business idea, right? So things like that are helpful. And then in terms of an oversaturated market, I think you'll find that with almost every kind of industry, always appears to be oversaturated, but somebody new will come in. If you think about fashion, that's an interesting one, because there's always there's so many fashion places that have been open for so long, yet somebody new will come along and all the young people will go flocking to buy from this new person who only started a year or 2 years ago. So that's quite common. Because some businesses will close, some businesses will come together and form a sort of joint venture, that sort of thing. So there will be room, but you need to think about how you are going to get your customers. And if you find that you can't get customers for yourself because everyone is, say for instance, I'm going to use hair as an example because lots of people do hair, right? Everyone is doing hair. Are you selling hair? Are you braiding hair? Do you see what I mean? What are you doing that's so different? Maybe your unique selling point as, I don't know, a mobile hairstylist is that you do the hair so well that you also, I can't think of what now you might do. I haven't done my hair with a mobile hairdresser in a long time, but what was the problem with them? Yeah, so maybe they come and they don't come on time. They always come late, but you are the one person that comes on time. You have an online booking system. I would love that if my mobile hairdresser had an online booking system. That in itself is a unique selling point. That's a business idea, people, right? If you're a mobile hairdresser, because mobile hairdressers, often you call them, they don't pick up because they're doing somebody's hair, and then when they book, they thought you booked on Tuesday, but it was actually Wednesday. It's so annoying. And that's why I don't do my hair with a mobile hairdresser anymore. But if I could just book it online, I had a website, I could book it online, I could tell them the style I want. Imagine there was even a point where I could choose the style, everything, and they come with their hair. I'll be so happy, right? I tell them I want 4B or whatever. I haven't braided my hair in years, but do you see what I mean? So that way you're thinking, what is everyone else doing? And what am I going to do that's going to make me stand out, right? If you are that way inclined, and also ask people. So don't just assume that I'm going to make mine different by doing it this way, because I'm talking as one person and I don't even do my hair with a mobile hairdresser. So that's just my view. Maybe things have changed over the years. So ask people as well, when you buy this product, what do you like about it? What do you not like about it? So that oversaturated market, you'll find that people do have complaints within that market. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Excellent.
Any questions online?
No questions on.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap up then. So what I'd love for you to do is just look on here for all the things that I've recommended. So I've recommended places. The first bit is places where you can learn more about business. Some of the courses, General Assembly, online courses, Eventbrite, you can just Google and go into Eventbrite, the website, and then search for whatever topic you're trying to learn. Lots of people do free webinars on there. If it's not free, then you might find that it's £20, £30. There are classes with Virgin and Guardian masterclasses. I think those are really good if I had to recommend any. And then listen to business podcasts. So how many of you listen to podcasts already? Yeah, brilliant. So listen to business podcasts. It's free, nothing to lose. Just listen to it in the background while you're washing the dishes or whatever you're doing, I don't know. Where can I access a business loan? I've put some ideas there for where to access a business loan. If you want to register your company, you can go to Companies Made Simple to go and learn about the process. I'm not telling you to register one, because you need to know if you need to register one first before you do it. Business bank accounts, I've recommended Tide or Starling because they have no monthly fees and you can just open them online, so they're really good. Whereas most high street banks, they do offer business bank accounts, but they only give you about 12 to 18 months free. So you want to kind of go for a cheaper one if you can. Starting an online business, I recommend Name Checker, really good website for checking if your website name is available and if the domains, the social media handles are available. Website hosting, I've given you a referral code there for SiteGround. I think it might give you a discount if you are hosting a website. Websites are a bit of a tricky one. Make sure you understand what you're doing. You can host directly with somewhere like WordPress or Wix, or you can self-host with somewhere like SiteGround, which I'll give you an example for. There's also AppSumo, where you can buy lots of software, lifetime deals. Again, I'm giving you a referral code for that. I think that gives you $10 off your first order. And then if you're trying to create something royalty-free, if you're trying to create anything, this is really important, guys, don't just Google images and start using them. You're not allowed to do that. You've got to use royalty-free images, and you can get that from websites like Unsplash and Pixabay. So you may have seen when you're referencing something, you've got to say where you got the source from, and you can find free things from there. And then if you're looking for staff, if you're looking for people to help you with staff, so graphic designers, bookkeepers, accountants, things like that, I've given you some websites as well. I also do things through my virtual assistant support packages, but they are kind of for more established businesses. And then I've put my top book recommendations, not 10, I couldn't squeeze 10 in there. So I've just given you my top ones. Number one, the one-page marketing plan, really good book because it means that you don't have to put a business plan together. So one of the biggest fears that people have is, oh my goodness, I have to put a business plan in. You don't need one. Read the one-page marketing plan and then you'll know how to put a quick marketing plan together. Oversubscribe by Daniel Priestley, again on marketing. And then there's E-Myth. Michael something, I can't remember his last name, but just look it up. Business operations. And then if you've got that general fear of failure, then Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, that's a really good one for mindset. And then once you start managing people, the 1 Minute Manager is a really good book to read, even if you're not managing people yet. If you're managing people at work, good book to read. And then last two things I mentioned was GT Scholars on my website. So what I do, my business, so gtscholars.org, and you can also look up our online courses. And then I also mentioned Dr. Adiremi Banjoko's course on investing, and the link is there if you are interested in signing up for that. So I've hopefully given you a ton of things here that you can use to get started. You know, there's really nothing stopping you. Hopefully my main message for you today was for you to realize that there is absolutely nothing stopping you from getting started. Even if it means just doing a little bit of research first, networking, one step at a time, you will get there. All right. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.